Bina, can we start with the first poll? I guess.
People are joining. Can we wait for like a couple of seconds more?
Sure, yeah. Bina, yes, we can launch now.
Sure.
Well, everyone, we have the poll in front of us. I would like to start with the poll first. So we have the results in front of us. We have, let's say, companies, some 30% companies who have the business. They are joining us from outside India, and companies from Bhubaneswar. Specifically, we have 60% companies, and elsewhere from Odisha, we have some 20% companies. Well, that's a good start. For this event, I would like to, first start with good evening, ladies and gentlemen. On the behalf of Team FESIDA, I would like to extend a warm welcome to all of you. Thanks for taking out time to join us today, and I hope you have enough and more takeaways from the session. Well, I have the pleasure to share this virtual stage with many renowned personalities, people from the industry. Please join me in welcoming Ms. Juhi Nethani, who is the Assistant Director, International Business Investment at FESIDA. Well, we represent the local government of Virginia, and I take care of the India office, helping home companies into a smooth transition. We'll discuss that part in detail later. We also have Mr. Ashwini, who is the renowned techno entrepreneur from the land of Odisha itself. He heads the team at Badoi Systems and is also an author, reputed council member from many reputed industry bodies. Knowing him from the past candidature, attending his sessions are very insightful. And please join me in welcoming Mr. Satya and Mr. Jagan, the experts who sits at the core of legal considerations during the international expansion. They represent a very well-known firm called Chuk LLP. Thank you, Juhi, Ashwini, Satya, and Jagan for agreeing to speak today. We are honored to have you amongst us. Before we jump into the discussion, let me give you a brief about the concept of virtual visit series. Well, our aim at FESIDA is to engage with industry bodies, government bodies, to invite and help the cluster of innovation from different states of India, different parts of the world, and help them into a successful expansion into US. Well, we had started with a bang with our first event this year in Ahmedabad in association with Asia IT. But as we all know, coronavirus came into our lives and it turned life upside down. Well, we aim to stick to our promises and help as many as companies from the different parts of India, different parts of the globe, to be precise. Well, and that gave the birth to virtual visit series. And since we started with Chandigarh, after a smashing debut in Chandigarh with association with Thai Chandigarh, we unanimously chose Bhubaneswar as the next key location. The reason being is as simple as the fact that the innovations, the true potential of India lies in the known metropolitan cities and towns. Well, I completely understand that all of you may have many doubts, many queries during the session, and we are here to solve them for you. May I please request you to use the chat box feature in your on your Zoom screen, and I'll pick them personally from there for our Q&A session, or you may choose to directly message them to me, and I'll choose them during the Q&A session. On that note, once again, thank you for joining us today. I would like to request Ms. Juhi to please take it forward.
Thank you so much, Dave. Thank you for the nice introduction, and thank you for giving the background on our virtual visits, which we are very excited about at the Fairfax County Economic Development Authority. I want to give you a very brief introduction to myself and our organization. My name is Juhi Nathani, and I am based in Northern Virginia in Fairfax County at our headquarters. So I'm in the US right now. Good evening to all of you. It's a bright sunny day in the morning here in Virginia, and it's nice to be connected with all of you at this time. The Fairfax County Economic Development Authority is a government agency. We are funded by the local county government of Fairfax County, which is located in Northern Virginia. And our mission is to attract and retain business investment into Fairfax County. In order to support that mission, we provide a variety of free and confidential services to businesses that are looking for the right information for them to make an entry into the United States, and of course, we hope into Fairfax County. So with that, I'm going to kind of talk about the theme of this program. It's called Turning Challenges into Opportunities. And what we want you to take away as a result of this program is that the opportunity lies in business expansion. And I'm going to start by sharing my slides, if that's okay with everybody. Is everyone able to see my slides? Dave, if you can give me a thumbs up when you see the slide, that would be great.
Yeah, we're able to see them.
Okay, excellent. So first thing that I have noted here is why businesses should expand. And there are some obvious answers for this. Expansion provides opportunity to enter a new market, which is something that businesses that are looking to grow are always excited about. Expansion provides new revenue sources. So business growth comes as a result of expansion, but these are the obvious reasons, right? Some of the reasons that are important, but perhaps not as well defined, are expanding in order to look for talent. So sometimes businesses choose to expand because they want to find the right skilled talent in order to support and augment what they're offering to their customers. Expansion also offers you competitiveness, right? So you may be very well known in your home country market. Going to a foreign market gives you the opportunity to compete in a new market and then get new sources of revenue once again. And finally, when you look at expansion, especially at this time when we are looking at COVID, then there are a number of new opportunities that perhaps didn't exist before that you have access to when you expand your business. So again, the question is not why expand. The question is perhaps when and where to expand. So We will try to address both of those latter questions, but I want to start by the where, because of course that is where my interest is. I want to tell you a little bit about Fairfax County in Northern Virginia, and that's a picture of Tysons, which is the largest business district in Fairfax County. The county itself is one of 90 plus counties in the state of Virginia. It's the largest jurisdiction by population. We have 1.3 million people, and I know that if you compare it to India, that's not a lot of people, but for Virginia, it's considered a significant amount. We're also a huge economic driver, not only for the state, but also the greater Washington, D.C. metropolitan area. And that brings me to the location of Fairfax County. All of you may not be familiar with it. Those who are, well, I appreciate it. That and I know you're already impressed by it. But to give the others an example or a sense of where we are in what is called the Mid-Atlantic region of the United States, right in the center of the East Coast and about 15 miles west of Washington, D.C., which is the nation's capital. The little magnified area shows you in orange Fairfax County itself, and you can see that it's flanked on both sides by an airport. We have Reagan Airport, which is located in Washington, D.C. on the east, and Washington Dulles International Airport on the west. Dulles International Airport actually has direct flights by Air India from D.C. to Delhi. They were introduced a couple of years ago. Of course, the whole flying situation is very different today. But we are very confident that the borders will open up soon, and air traffic is going to start soon as the threat of the pandemic is mellowed down a little bit. So that's about the location. And to give you an idea, on the West Coast, you can see a few key areas like Seattle, San Francisco, and Los Angeles are identified on this map. We feel that our East Coast location perhaps is one of the biggest advantages of Fairfax County, especially when it comes to doing business with India and by Indian companies. The time difference is favorable on the East Coast. I have my colleagues here with me. I already mentioned that they're based in India, and yet we're able to find a suitable time to have our meetings. And because the difference is 10.5 or 9.5 hours, depending on what time of the year, and it's still reasonable. Moving on, I wanted to list some of the advantages that we have in Fairfax County. And I know that at this point, I'm asking you to take my word for it, but I do encourage a visit from all of you at some time in the future so that you can see it for yourself. We have a very strong business economy. Again, like I mentioned, the location that we have gives us or gives companies good market access, not only within the DC metro area, but all of the East Coast, as well as the rest of the United States. So we sometimes think of our county as a gateway to the rest of the market in the United States. You're no more than a 2-hour flight, drive, or train ride from key markets in the US, and you can reach 2/3 of the world's population within that time, of the United States population within that time. We have a number of sources of capital that are available to companies. I spoke to you about the benefits of expanding your business in search of good talent, and certainly there is no dearth of highly educated, skilled workforce in our area. In the region, and the region is often called DMV, which stands for DC, Maryland, and Virginia, because the three are so close to one another and form the greater Washington, DC metro area. We have, or businesses have, access to over 3 million skilled workers in the area. And we find that that's a driving factor for many of our companies, or many of the companies that choose to locate in Fairfax County for its benefits. Likewise, there are a number of real estate options, both commercial and residential. So you will find that office spaces can be elite, go up as much as $60 to $70 a square foot, and they can be reasonable, like $17 a square foot as well, depending on where in the county you want to be. So we feel like we have options for everybody. We have certainly a very diverse business community in terms of representation from the international market. 430 foreign companies operate in Fairfax County, and they are from 49 different countries. So we're very proud of the fact that over the last 15 years, we've seen a tremendous growth in foreign investment into the county. Certainly, Fairfax County is considered a center of innovation. We have a number of startup activities in the county, quite a few accelerators that boost or scale up or help startups scale up. And there are a number of grants that are available from the government as well in order to boost innovation from companies. I'll just take a quick break here and say, as I'm going along my presentation, if questions do come up, perhaps now is the time for you to put them in the chat box, although we'll address them at the end, towards the end of the program. But as and when they arise, please put them in the chat box, and my colleague Beena is going to monitor them. In Fairfax County, we're very proud to be home to 11 Fortune 500 company headquarters. This is more than 30 other states in the United States can say for themselves, and we are just a county. So the 11 are listed there, and I want you to take note of the diversity in those companies as well. We have companies from financial services like Capital One or Freddie Mac. We have companies from hospitality like Hilton, but then we also have aerospace companies like Northrop Grumman. And of course, I think the unifying factor in all of these companies is not only that these are corporate headquarters for these companies, but these companies are very technology focused. So certainly Fairfax County is a tech hub, and a number of the companies that operate here are technology firms. A sample listing is in front of you, and you will recognize many of the names here. So just to give you some statistics or numbers, almost 9,000 tech companies operate in Fairfax County, and 1 in 4 jobs is a technology job. So certainly that is the strength of our region, and that's why it is appealing for other tech companies to locate or expand to our area, because they are in good company. They are in the company of other technology firms that they will both compete with as well as partner with. I mentioned about the diversity of Fairfax County as well. We have a number of well-known worldwide multinational corporations represented here in the county. And you'll see that there are some familiar names like Tata Communications and Granules Pharmaceuticals that also operate from India out of Fairfax County. And Tata Communications has had their regional headquarters here now for a couple of decades at least. Granules Pharmaceutical is the only manufacturing facility in pharma that is in Fairfax County. We are proud to have them here. They chose Fairfax County because they were keen on getting the right trained personnel for themselves, and also because although they primarily compete in the generics market, they wanted to focus on quality and slow release formulations rather than quantity from their US operations. Again, I'll point to the diversity. We have companies that do airline hospitality like Gate Gourmet, but then we also have companies like Software AG or Volkswagen. And Volkswagen, just to give you a little tidbit, actually has their initiative called Electrify America, which is for charging electric vehicles. Their aim is to make enough charging stations nationwide. They started that initiative here in Fairfax County. Key industries, I mentioned before that I think the unifying factor here is technology, but you see that we are a choice location for many corporate headquarters, Perhaps part of that is our proximity to Washington, D.C., which is the nation's capital. And then on the other side, you also see that government contracting is big in Fairfax County. So a number of our tech companies actually sell to the federal government, which, as all of you know, is the largest customer in the world. And I'm happy to share this statistic that last year, Fairfax County companies received $27 billion of government contracts over the year. And these were contracts given to companies in Fairfax County, not outside of. It constitutes about 5% of total government spending. So to have such a large share or chunk of that business is, of course, a matter of pride for us. Other industries that you see here are defense and aerospace. Defense, again, quite obvious, but besides Northrop Grumman that I pointed out, we also have all the big aerospace companies with operations here. By that, I mean Boeing, Airbus, Raytheon, you name it, they're here. Also some well-known companies from Israel like Elbit Systems and IAI. Engineering and financial services also follow suit. Telecommunications, and I want to again share a factoid with you when it comes to telecommunications. Where our office is in Tysons, which I mentioned is the largest business district in Fairfax County, that was also the location for the first ever internet exchange in the world. So 2 internet exchanges were placed simultaneously, one in the west coast of the United States and one in the east coast, and the east coast location happened to be Fairfax County. So since that time, we saw a number of telecommunications companies come to our area, and they pretty much just stayed. So the factoid that I want to share is that 70% of the world's internet flows through Northern Virginia. Again, another statistic that we are very proud of, and another statistic that perhaps drive tech companies to our area. We have life sciences and personalized health as an up-and-coming industry. I will point out, though, that it's less so in terms of wet labs and more in terms of health IT, where our strength lies in Fairfax County. And of course, we have a number of emerging technologies that are now being pursued in the county, and that's from AI to blockchain to, of course, cloud computing. We are very strong in the field of cybersecurity. We have a cluster of about 500 companies that are experts in cybersecurity that operate in Fairfax County. Moving on to emerging technologies specifically, like I said, AI and blockchain, but also Internet of Things, 3D manufacturing. A lot of drone technology or personalized air vehicle technology is being built as we speak within Fairfax County. So having that skilled workforce and the brain to go behind these emerging technologies is giving rise to, or impetus to, emerging technologies. So enough about business. I also want to point out that Fairfax County residents enjoy a fantastic quality of life. So we want to present the county as an all-encompassing area where you can live, play, and work. I am a Fairfax County resident. I have 2 young kids. I'm very happy with the schools that they go in, nationally ranked school system. In fact, more than 50% of the county's budget goes towards funding schools. So certainly we are very engaged in the learning of our children at the kindergarten through 12th grade level. And we also are home to one of the top magnet STEM schools in the country, Thomas Jefferson High School for Science and Technology. But aside from that, there are a number of venues and avenues for you to feel entertained. I know, Ashwini, I think you might address this during your speech, but you have had some exposure to the museums and the history of our county, and I'll let him talk about that. But also in terms of entertainment or wineries and just recreation, if you are an outdoorsy person, we have a number of trails, hiking and biking, and all together, like I said, it's a great place not just to work, but also to raise a family. The Fairfax County Economic Development Authority has 5 overseas offices. We are represented around the globe by our overseas representatives. We also have an office on the West Coast in the United States because we're seeing a trend in a number of companies from the West Coast that are either relocating or expanding to the East Coast for the benefits that the East Coast provides. And because we are so tech focused, as is Silicon Valley in the West, we become one of their natural choices, or at least in their consideration set for expansion. I'm going to, in the next slide, introduce you to our India team, but we are represented in Bangalore as well as in Mumbai. In addition, our other offices are in Berlin, and the Berlin office handles European business investment. We have an office in the UK, in London. We have an office in Seoul, Korea for Asian businesses, and an office in Israel, in Tel Aviv. And Israel is an important market for us as well because there are a number of similarities between Israeli companies and their advancement in technology, as well as Fairfax County companies. And our West Coast office is in LA. But let's focus on India. So this is our India team. Our director of the India office, Ashish, was not able to join us today, but he is always available to help out, and you can reach out to him. I'm joined today by my colleague, Dev Malik. Dev is the manager of the India office, and he is located in Bangalore. And Beena Jain, who is the business investment associate, and she works in the same office as Ashish, and she is on the call today, of course. And like I said, I'm located at the headquarters, and I will say that for all practical purposes, your first point of contact should be Dev for anything, any information that you need, either in response to this program or moving forward. If you have questions about Fairfax County or FCEDA, please reach out to Dave. We haven't shared it here, but we have a number of fact sheets that we can share with you. You know, one of the things that businesses need when they want to expand is information, and we are here to provide that. So with that, I am going to end my presentation and stop my screen share. And I want Beena to help me launch another poll if she can. And I want to poll the audience and ask them real quick, how much of your revenue comes from international sales? If you don't mind answering, sales outside of India. We're going to give you maybe 30 seconds to answer. Please go ahead, take your time. Okay, that's most of the audience. And I mean, the answer is right in front of you. More than 75% of you are already getting your revenues from the United States or internationally, sorry, excuse me, internationally. Well, then the next logical step is to move there, increase your profit margins by being in the market where your revenues are coming from, and establish a new presence. So of course, we are very vested in promoting Fairfax County, but for businesses that are making international sales, I would encourage them to think about international expansion as well in order to enhance the profits that you get from those international sales. So with that, I'm going to end my presentation and hand it back to Dave. Thank you.
Thank you, Julie. That was very informative, especially the part where you entailed the stats, the facts about the Fairfax County, the benefits which comes from being in the ecosystem of the county, and the support, the actions undertaken by FACEDA team in order to help companies in the expansion. Thank you. I would like to, request Mr. Ashwini to join us now, since Mr. Ashwini is already exposed to the business in multiple geographies. and he himself, sits at the chair of many councils of the industry bodies. I think there won't be a better person to share their expertise and help others pick the best practices from it. Over to you, Mr. Ashwini.
Greetings, everybody. Special thanks for Fairfax County Economic Development Authority and Juhi. I still remember how quick she was to respond to queries and to help. When I first visited her office in Fairfax 3 years ago, approximately, I was not familiar with the place, and I traveled from my hotel at Washington, D.C. to meet. I was asking about specific information about the local business ecosystem, details of local associations. She offered me tea, and within a few minutes, she was with detailed information sheets. And before I reached back in my hotel, I had all information documents in my email. She is true professional, is a big help when you plan to start a business in Fairfax County. Hailing from Odisha, historical places and musical events always appeal to me. During my stay, a few months before COVID onset, I visited the erstwhile estate of George Washington, the first president of America, attended a music show at Wolf Trap Park, a beautiful place. So it's not about only business in Fairfax County, the place offers so much more. International business is always a learning experience. No doubt there is a growing business ecosystem in my home state of Odisha. New products and startups are appearing in the scene in rather frequent intervals. In this regard, the contributions from government and business associations are enormous. The collaborations of this kind, the exchange of information, the exposure to businesses from other regions in the world will bring huge benefits to companies that look for expansion beyond borders. My state of Odisha is now placed in a unique position for rapid business growth with long coastline, established business test bed, government supported suppliers for space technologies, and above all, companies engaged in innovations in digital technologies, electronics, and software parks, centers of excellence, create a really conducive place for innovation and productions. When I say digital technology, I mean information technologies, digital communication infrastructure, connected devices like IoT, drones, robots, etc. In today's context, I would like to outline two things from my experience. One, the goal of business expansion outside the home country should be a broad activity. You should look beyond having a simple office presence or a point of contact for business development. The outsourcing process may not be valid anymore from cost standpoint. You should seek to exploit local talents, resources, and business opportunities. It will then offer sustainability for the ecosystem and for your business. Second, the local presence is all about understanding different aspects that can impact business directly or indirectly. For example, you would need to understand basic legal aspects, incorporation, public records filing for new business entity in the state where you establish your office, employment procedures, tax filings, etc. Both legal aspects and financial frameworks. Satya and Jagan are here. They are the best people to offer right insights in this direction. One aspect, I would also say that we must realize that every place has its own unique heritage and traditions. The best ways are to understand and appreciate the subtle aspects of the local culture and the way of living. Now let me say a few words about my business. Apart from Batoi and its USA subsidiary Batoi Systems Inc., I have two other companies, one in Massachusetts, BQ Analytics Inc., and a company offering tools for remote audit and compliance management. The other is in Greenville, North Carolina, Time Captis Inc. It's a unique tool for professionals and freelancers to boost their productivity and track time. At Batoi, we offer cloud services and software solutions. The product line splits into two. The first is App Suite, a set of apps for managing remote workflows and business processes, be it your sales, billing, projects, office operations, or HR processes. These apps can help you manage with a simple SaaS subscription. The second is Dev Suite. With an application framework and a cloud studio, you can build your custom hybrid apps and can deploy in your vanilla server or on any public cloud infrastructure. At Batoi, we serve in different business verticals, including banking and finance, manufacturing, healthcare, logistics, e-commerce, government, and social sectors. We take care of data security at the level of storage and in transit. We follow ISO 27001 security practices, have integrated the VAPT in our DevOps processes. Data of customers reside in Type 4 data centers in the USA. The servers in the cloud infrastructure are PCI compliant. The sensitive data are kept under encryption. We have multi-factor authentication, a web application firewall. They act strong deterrents against intrusion. The current pandemic has inflicted huge suffering for our population as we stare at long-term changes in our social life and doing business. At the same time, like any crisis, this one has also offered major opportunities for us to re-innovate our economic and business ecosystems. During the last several months, we are more convinced about the critical role of digital technologies in our business processes and in social life than before. The impetus will now push these technologies to evolve faster and will be ubiquitous in various walks of life and in business. We have a major global disruption now. Disruption is in social terms, business terms, and the way we look at things. It is radical. And this disruption is said to bring major inroads through digital technologies in our lives and in business processes. It will be interesting to see what will be the situation in terms of these technologies later this year and the next. I think I will not continue further, rather pass the mic to others. I thank Dev for India office, Nimeshika and Asa from World Trade Center, Bhubaneswar for arranging this virtual meet and for excellent coordination. All kudos to them. With this, I end my talk. Thank you all.
That was great, Ashwini. Thank you for throwing light on the topic and giving us insights about your business. With the questions I have received in my DM so far, this was truly eye-opening for many folks in the audience regarding their business models as well expansion. Now coming to the next part, when I speak to leaders from different companies that are in the planning stage of expansion, more often or not, maximum or most of them have the doubts about the legal considerations, of conducting businesses in the US. It could be, around immigration, it could be around incorporation and the steps involved from the legal standpoint. And it is very cumbersome to get access to the right legal advice to help you put doubt, to help you put the doubt to the rest. Well, which is why we have, before you today, Mr. Satya and Mr. Jagan, who have already agreed to join us in an interactive session exclusively for you. The stage is all yours, Mr. Satya and Jagan.
Thank you, Dev. Thank you, Juhi. Juhi, it was really very informative session on Fairfax County. That is the reason Chukfam also have a branch here in Fairfax County. Thank you. And thank you, Ashwini. It was really good session, and thank you for your insights on the business and business in US. So good evening, everyone from Bhubaneswar. My name is Satya Yerwa. I'm a CPA partner with Chukfam. I'm chartered accountant from India and CPA here in US. And with me, Jagan Tamiresha. She's his immigration team leads in our firm. And to give a brief introduction about Chukfam is a full service CPA and attorney firm. We handle almost all areas of a business, right from incorporation to immigration to your corporate requirements and compliances. So with that brief introduction, I will dive into my session. I'm sharing the screen now. Will you be able to see my screen? Yeah. Okay. So today we are going to give a brief idea about what is US what types of US entities that you can incorporate, and the advantages and disadvantages and timelines and the right entity for you. So just a second, I'm not able to roll down the screens. Yeah. Okay. To start with, to give a brief idea about the fundamental difference between India and US when it comes to incorporation. In US, the entity incorporation is very state specific, whereas in India, it is at national level. So before incorporating an entity in US, you need to decide on the state where you wanted to incorporate. For example, if you want to choose Fairfax County as your business destination, then you have to incorporate in Virginia. So all incorporations are administered by the state, and the specific state corporate laws are applicable. So once you decide on the state where you wanted to incorporate, the next step is to decide on the type of entity. There are a lot of different types of entities, but I don't want to go into detail due to time constraints. So basically, there are two basic types of entities. One is LLC, that is limited liability company, and another one is incorporation. When it comes to LLC, LLC has members and it has membership units. Whereas when it comes to INC, INC has shareholders and it has shares. So depending on the type of business that you are into, and the nature of the business and the number of employees that you wanted to have, and the type.
I believe there is a technical issue. I'm not able to track Mr.
Jagan, is it okay if we move on to your segment? You're muted. I can pull up the slides if you like, because I have them.
Yes, please, Juhi. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Are you able to see that?
Yes, yes.
So, did you want to just move to immigration, or?
Yes, please. If you can move to, I think, number 8. Yes. And then, please go to the next one. Sorry, everyone. I think Satya just dropped off the grid. Probably is having some technical issue, but he should be back any moment. So thank you, Devji and Binaji, for hosting this. Juhi had given thank you very much, Juhi. You had given a very fantastic introduction to Fairfax County. I don't think anybody could have done a better job. My endorsement to your details is right after graduation, I arrived in Fairfax County in December 2002. And since then, I have been here in this county and I've seen this county grow. Fantastic development. Tyson's and all other places around Fairfax County has seen a tremendous growth in opportunities. Thank you, Ashwini ji, for your input on the business aspect. And I agree with you that Corona has really disrupted. But Fairfax County is up and running and doing business. Everything is back in its place and things are going well. Good evening to all in Orissa who's listening onto the call. I just want to say a few things from the immigration aspect about Fairfax County. And, so Julia has given a very fantastic details about how the population and businesses are structured. But from an immigration point of view, I feel it's my job to tell you, when you're trying to step in, what's the immigration outlook around the county is. I consider everyone who's listening on the call from Orissa are potential immigrant investors. And I feel it's very important for you to consider and plan your immigration before you expand. So there are several types of visas that are available to bring your business to Fairfax County. But in general sense, as Juiji has pointed out, Fairfax County is a welcoming and accepting community where residents of all backgrounds are respected. It has a very diverse immigrant population, with Indians probably ranking the second, probably in my most recent service I have seen. Recent surveys has also shown 73.3% of immigrants are in the labor force. So you know what kind of hiring you will see when you step into the county. Juiji has already told you that this county is home to 11 Fortune 500 companies. All the names that she has shown to you in her presentation, I know personally that they have all used immigration to expand their business, and they have seen tremendous growth. Majority of the county, as Juiji has said, revolves around professional services and technology. So although all businesses are welcome in the county, but if you are a technology company, this is the place to be, because this is the largest tech corridor. In terms of doing business, I also remember reading a survey that Virginia is probably at number 4 or probably even higher in the hierarchy on the ease of doing business. And Virginia ranks the highest, especially in Fairfax County, because of the factors such as education, available workforce, ease of doing business, business friendliness, and so on. And these are the factors on which this ranking is based. So if you are planning to set up your business in Fairfax County, it should be a pretty breeze. And when you actually set up, obviously the next factor you're trying to look at is hiring, and it has the highest skilled workers population that you can never think about. So hiring should never be a problem in Fairfax County. If you can please go to the next slide. There are, hundreds of firms in the county, as I've said, that made its success through use of immigration. U.S. Citizenship and Immigration Services, that's the federal body that regulates the immigration. Fairfax County does not regulate immigration. That's the job of the federal government, as much I've seen in the county news so far. So based on the business needs, you can utilize any one of the visas that is showing on the slides to make your pitch in Fairfax County. H-1B and L-1A and L-1B by far are the largest business visas, employment visas that are ever been used in Fairfax County. And I know because I've done business with several hundreds of companies that are located in Fairfax County that use immigration to boost their business. Probably, I mean, immigration use is very rampant in India, and I just want to touch on one subject. There is a presidential proclamation out there that holds entry ban until December 31st, and we are closing on to December 31st. But having said that, we have seen companies utilize H1L1 programs to line up their skilled workers to be transferred to the US as and when things get better on the employment side to kickstart the business and expand their business. By and large, that's the biggest visas that's ever used over here. The other type of visas that are also used are the E1 and the E2 treaty traders and investors. India is not part of the treaty trader or treaty investor group, but if you hold a business in the European continent, you can reach out to the FACIDA in the European segment, and they can help you in guiding making those investments in Fairfax County and open or expand your business here. The other type of visas that are also available is the O1 and O2, which is for professionals with extraordinary ability in arts and business. There is no entry ban for such kind of visas. If you have a business and you have an extraordinary ability in doing that business, potentially you can qualify for that visa. The other largest category that you want to think about is the last one, which is titled as the EB5, which is the immigrant investment, which is actually getting green card through investment. If you actually search through the USCIS government website, there are 19 EB5 regional centers in Virginia. If you want to utilize the targeted employment area as a factor to make your investment, or if you want to make a direct investment, that is also isn't available. But that's an investment visa where you have to invest and show at least 10 hiring and a viability to sustain business, which will give you a path to direct green card. So we can coordinate, your application when your specific visa. I mean, we can coordinate with you all, whichever specific visa that you think it applies to you, or if there is any sort of confusion. I mean, you can set up a one-on-one call with us. We can guide you by understanding your business and take your business forward for you. And that's the good thing about working with agency like FACIDA. I mean, they help you set up your business because your company will have a dedicated liaison. FACIDA can help you connect with business like us, which are, like Satya had started saying, we are a one-stop shop where you can obtain all services with ease. With that, Satya, I see you're back. If you want to go back and conclude your presentation, please go ahead.
Thank you,
I'm
James.
happy to remote the slides for you, Satya.
Yeah, sure. Sorry, I think it was a brief interruption in internet service. Okay, okay, I think we are discussing the types of entities, right? Okay, there are basically two types of entities, LLC and INC. LLC is a limited liability company, and INC is a incorporation or corporation, we can say. So limited liability company, basically it has members and membership units, and INC has shareholders and shares. So depending on the type of entity that you choose, we will incorporate kind of whether it is LLC or INC, and then we need to decide on whether you wanted to have a membership units or shareholders or shares. So next slide, Juhi. Okay, and when after you're deciding on entity incorporation, whether it is an LLC or INC, so basically for the companies who are outside of US and wanted to incorporate in US, so LLC is not recommended. We would recommend to go with INC. When it go with INC, then basically there are two different types of classifications in INC that are available. One is S corporation and another one is C corporation. S corporation, it's a kind of advantages in terms of tax. It's a pass-through entity, and it's a single taxation is applicable at individual level, individual shareholder level. but there is no tax at the entity level. But the only disadvantage with S corporation is S corporation doesn't allow for shareholders, and it limits the number of shareholders to 100. So these are the kind of limitations or that have been put in place by IRS while giving the advantage of single taxation benefit. And when it comes to C corporation, anyone from anywhere in the world, they can incorporate a C corporation. And you need not have any person here in US to incorporate a C corporation. But the only disadvantage with C corporation is double taxation. So at the entity level, you need to pay tax, as well as when you get the dividends or when you distribute the profit individuals, then again you have to pay dividend tax. That is the only disadvantage. So this kind of brief introduction for the entities, but if you go into the detail, there are a lot of that in detail now. And the main question now probably you may have is, I would answer this in a kind of a different way. It all depends on the situation or the specific need that you have. I'll give two examples. If a person sitting in US, if they wanted to incorporate an entity, then you can incorporate LLC or S corporation or C corporation. There is no limitation. Whereas if you are sitting in India and you have an entity in India and you wanted to incorporate an entity in US as a subsidiary, then probably it's a C corporation. That is the only one option that you may have. And we need to look into a lot of different aspects as well when you decide on choosing an entity type. I'm sure you may have a lot of questions, but we can discuss that offline, or we can discuss that in Q&A session. And when it comes to timelines, US is more business friendly, and a lot of states they encourage companies to incorporate in their state, and so timelines are very flexible. And if you take Fairfax County and Virginia, you can get a entity set up within 5-10 minutes. That's it. So that is kind of flexibility that you have. Okay, next slide, Juhi. Juhi, can you move to next slide? Yeah. So another important aspect after you wanted to incorporate an entity in US is taxes. It's very important because there are a lot of different types of taxes that are applicable in US when you have a business, depending on the business that you are into. On broad level, you have two types of entities. One is income tax and another one is sales tax. There is no service tax as such in US. So basically these are the two different kind of taxes. And when it comes to income tax, again, there are different kinds of income tax. One is at federal level, and second one is at state level. And some counties also, they tax businesses in different ways. Some counties taxes as a property tax, and some counties as income tax, franchise tax. So each county in US, they also levy taxes, and state levies taxes, and at federal level they levy taxes. So you need to understand the tax implications as well. Like Ashwini mentioned, tax implications, complaints, legal aspects, immigration aspects, all of this that you need to evaluate. Session. Over to you, Dev.
Sincere thanks, Satya and Jagan, for all the information you shared. Well, I know the actual trouble people go through to get access to the right information, and you guys have put it, out so beautifully, explaining all the types of visas, all the different types of taxes. Huge thanks to you both. Well, before I'll open up the Q&A session. I would like to check with Veena if we have some like another poll to run. All right, we have the results now. There's, most of people have polled for lack of market knowledge, and well, I completely, second the thought. There are a lot of questions, I've received through DMs, and a lot of questions, I've been receiving from, previous interactions. I'll be picking up, as many as possible. At the same time, in case your question doesn't get picked, please be rest assured, I'll be personally, coming back to you. I'll be sharing my coordinates in the end of the session, which you can use to contact me whenever you face any difficulty. If you have any doubts around discussions today, you can reach out to me. The first question I see is, all right, I would like to ask the first question to Juhi. Juhi, what is the exit assistance offered by FACEDA in setup? And it's I believe the second part of the same question. How does Fairfax County stack up in comparison to other regions of the US?
Sure, Dave. Thanks for that question. So in terms of the exact services that we offer as an organization, and this is open to all businesses that are interested in our area, I had mentioned before, market intelligence is something that is deeply sought after by businesses. In order to expand to a market, you need to know it first. And I'm very pleased to inform everybody that we have actually an in-house market intelligence division within the FCEDA. So we can give you a number of fact sheets on different industries and different areas within Fairfax County where you can find potential opportunities, so on and so forth. So just letting you know about, for example, aerospace and defense clusters or cybersecurity clusters or cloud and AI clusters within the county gives you a better sense of the county. That's industry information. We can also share with you information about taxes. Satya mentioned that taxes vary all the way down to a county level. And yes, we can give you the information on those taxes. We actually go a step further. We can also give you comparative information. You might have down selected 2 different jurisdictions. Maybe you're thinking of Silicon Valley versus Fairfax County. You're thinking of Boston versus Fairfax County. We will be able to give you comparative information because we want you to make the best decision. This information is from public sources. It has been collated by the Market Intelligence Division. We don't create this information. We collate it and present it to you. So the idea here is that as a business, you should go into take the important decision of expansion with full knowledge, and we're here to provide you that knowledge. I also neglected to mention perhaps that part of our services are also reaching out to companies that are already here, our resident businesses, and we continue to maintain an association with companies even after they come here. So part of our services are towards them or more relevant to them, and that would include, for example, exposure or PR, communications services. We help them with that. We can help any company find commercial space for leasing. We have a real estate division. We also have recruitment assistance. If you're looking for either staffing companies or you're looking for HR companies that can help you recruit the right personnel, we can help you with that. And then finally, finding sources of funding. I had mentioned that before. There are many different sources of funding. They could come from private or institutional or government sources. And we are happy to connect companies to that. Going back to your question on how do we stack up, I think the DC area, especially Northern Virginia, is very well known for technology, and you have different people now that have reiterated that. So certainly we are a tech hub for the region and for the country. We are a center of talent and innovation for the entire country, and I would say very strong in government contracting. So if you do compare us, that's definitely a strength that shines through from other areas. But we are also often called the Silicon Valley of the East. So that's just to give you an idea of the strength we have in our IT community and IT division in terms of how Fairfax County stacks up. And then if you're particularly interested in comparing to a specific jurisdiction, like I said, let us know and I'll be happy to follow up with that information later.
Sure, Shuni, thanks a lot. It was pretty detailed. Uh, at this point, Ashwini, I would like to bring you in, since your company is in multiple geographies. Can you share the experience you had in each one of them, and how will you, compare each one to each other?
One major uh, hurdle that we initially faced to understand the difference, it was long back. USA or Europe, the international businesses, they work on contract. And when it comes to India, so it was mostly like so-called Asian contract. So that difference, so one has to go through proper understanding of the contractual terms when you are delivering. One has to be mindful in terms of deliveries, the timeline, the cost, the scope has to be absolutely clear during the contract formation. So that is one of the single significant aspect, I think, when we deal with international businesses. But when it comes to like expanding, for example, in the USA, utilizing the local resources are very important, and to create also the network in the local region for businesses who would like to join uh, in the USA, for example, that maybe you would like to be in different associations, member of different associations, or you should talk to people who are already in businesses there. Even if a company may not be startup, even if established businesses from India, if they can join cohorts, they can join different accelerators to meet number of people from different varieties, like it can be financial domain, it can be business domains, it can be people who can provide professional services, people, for example, like they know about the place. So those are also very important. So to learn that local subtle aspects, how to do business is very important. And particularly, I think during my visit to Fairfax County, one of the thing is the very good large size Indian diaspora, and also good restaurants, variety of restaurants, including Indian restaurants, and absolutely good place. I mean, whether it is shopping mall, whether it is musical parks, whether it is like wilder side of, for example, the cruise from like Virginia to Maryland. So the place offers actually for living, yeah, one thing, and second is even if for a visit, and also number of companies. Like I have met like companies in the cyber security domain. In fact, I think Juhi has mentioned. So the business activities are very, very like is mainstream there, but you can also have see the other side of the story apart from business.
That was really good to know, Mr. Ashwini. Thank you so much for the insights. My next question is for Mr. Satya and Jagan. Any one of you can take this up. While this seems very vague, since I understand the expansion process, but would love to understand your insights on this. What is the basic cost of setting up the entity in US?
Yeah, sure. I'll take this on question. So it all depends on the type of entity and type of business that you are into. But usually the cost of setting up an entity would be in the range of $750 to $1,500, depending on the state and depending on the requirements. And there are some agreements that you need to execute, like units, bylaws, and all. So considering all these aspects, this is kind of a range that I could give.
Perfect. Thank you so much. Juhi, this one, I guess would sit with you. Can you share some anecdotes from the businesses of, specific from India that have set up in Fairfax County?
Sure, I can do that. Always happy to plug our companies. We've had a variety of companies, some that were there before I even joined the EDA. Like I said, Tata Communications, they had always been there. I can give you 3 different examples. One is with Granules itself. So Granules actually started to or decided to establish their manufacturing facility in Chantilly in Fairfax County, and they worked with the state. So we also liaise with our colleagues at the state level, the Virginia Economic Development Partnership, and we often do projects together, depending on whether that business is interested in Fairfax County. So it was a nice case of us working together with VEDP and Granules in order to actually find them an incentive package, which we did, because they had proposed to generate a certain number of jobs. And we had a nice event with Granules for their opening. Governor McAuliffe at the time came to the event. And of course, FCEDA was also present. So that's just one case of an Indian company that made big waves when it entered Fairfax County. Another example is a Bangalore company. Some of you may be familiar with it. It's called Palladian. Palladian is a cybersecurity company that came from Bangalore. At the time, my colleague was taking care of Indian businesses, and he helped them find an office space in Reston. That is where they are to this day. And every time their lease comes up for renewal, we convince them to stay in Fairfax County, and they have been here for a number of years. Palladian started with mainly having an office for sales and business development purposes, but they expanded and are now on track to actually have a SOC, a Security Operations Center, in their Reston location. They also did a lot of product development in concert with their Bangalore office. So they always had operations in Bangalore, which they retained. But they also hire developers here. It's not that they're hiring only salespeople here. And they have found that it led to so much success for the company that they recently announced an acquisition by a French firm called Atos. So Palladian was very excited about that merger with the French company, and together, because of their complementary services, they can offer more here to their consumers, not just in Fairfax County or the DMV area, but in all of the United States. A third example that's very close to me is of a much smaller company, Systech Services Corporation, also a Bangalore company, also in cybersecurity, although they have a variety of services that they offer, managed services that they offer. And they started with a very humble operations, and they have now been here for 2 years. And every time I meet with my contact at Systech, she tells me that they've booked new business, they have expanded. She makes trips to her client sites in Richmond, Virginia on a weekly basis. And she has found that since the time she actually started living here is when the business started to pick up. And it's very simple. The reason for that is that she was able to connect with the community, be in the community, be present. She went to so many meetups. So of course, kudos to her. All the work was done by her, but she made the effort and was able to access the business community. And you gain a lot by networking. It's as old as time itself, but those business networks are very, very important and valuable for you to not only promote yourself, but find new opportunities that you can then seize. So I'll end with those 3.
Thank you, Joey. I have some two questions each. Still to let's say ask all of you, each one of you. However, unfortunately, that's all the time we have for Q&A session. As I mentioned previously, we can discuss queries further. Please drop your question, to me on mail, and I would specifically share them with all the panelists, the speakers, and will be coming for the follow-up discussions as well. Well, that's all from my side. I'm looking forward to speaking with each one, every one of you. May I please request Juhi again to conclude the event? Thank you.
Thank you, Dave. Thank you so much. So first, I want to thank everyone who joined today from Odisha. I know it's late in the evening for you. You're probably getting ready for dinner time. So we really appreciate that you took the time to join our event and grace us with your presence. Very special thanks to Ashwini. What a fantastic presentation you made, and you hit the nail on the head, and you covered every point that I missed. So thank you for your contribution. Of course, we know Patoi is successful, and we want it to continue to be successful, but in Fairfax County. So thank you for joining our event, and also for helping us organize it. That was very nice of you to make those introductions. Thank you to our other two speakers, Jagan and Satya from Chog. I mean, whenever I have a question, I just pick up the phone and call Satya, and he always takes my call. And I'm like, I have this doubt, and can you explain this part to me, because he's the expert here. So the CPA as well as the immigration lawyer, I can't stress enough the importance of actually having a professional advise you on matters as serious as incorporation and immigration. I want to especially thank Nimeshika and Asha as well. I know you did a lot of coordination. They're both at WTC, and you did a lot of coordination and promotion for us on behalf of your membership to make this program happen. Thank you so much. Asha, do you have something to say?
No, ma'am, I was just saying thank you for the nice presentation. And I know it's a bit late for some of our members who have just maybe leaving from their office, for which they are not able to put up some questions, but I will be definitely connecting with Dave with a lot of questions in near future. In a week also, we'll be having some questions with Dave. We have some incubation houses who are really interested for that. Somehow, due to this evening timing, it's a big crux here. So I'll definitely connect with Dave with all the queries we have.
Thank you. Appreciate that very much. And yes, we understand everyone's time is precious. So I will add that we have recorded this meeting. We are happy to make the recording available to whomever is interested in viewing it, because we want at least the information to stay with them. And Nimeshika, did you have anything to say?
Yeah, very good evening, and it's my opportunity to thank all of you for the wonderful session. This kind of sessions are something which we have been really looking forward to, and we have been telling Ashwini sir to give us opportunities to organize this. So it's been a great window, and I believe this is the first step. Many of them, as Asha said, it's the time crux which has, it's been a travel time for them back home. So that's why many of them would not have been able to join. But then I'm sure with Dave in touch, we'll be organizing a better session where during the daytime, and we'll be having more interaction with the trade fraternity.
Absolutely, and we look forward to that as well. So in fact, Beena, if you don't mind putting up Dave's information on the screen, I would like to invite, of course, everyone who is at this meeting, as well as Nimeshika and Asha. You can share the information with your other members that we have set aside time for one-on-one meetings with each company. We'll spend 30 minutes with each of you, whomever is interested, to talk further, has questions specific to their business, or something that we may not have covered today. We are happy to schedule those meetings on September 22nd and 23rd. If you would like to meet with Dave only, I am sure he'll be able to make himself available during daytime in India. If you would like me to join, I would request that we schedule those meetings after 5:30 p.m. India time. Just a request, but know that the information will be delivered to you regardless. So we look forward to connecting with a few companies one-on-one next week. And in the meantime, we will be sharing information with you so you can absorb and have your questions ready to make those meetings more efficient. With that, Dave, thank you so much for conducting the program. You did a terrific job. And of course, Bina behind the scenes, we can do nothing without you. So thank you everyone again for joining. It's been a great session. We are very grateful to have met with the audience in Orissa, and we look forward to reconnecting, connecting, staying connected, and staying in touch with you. As a final thought, I would like to wishful thinking, but I would like to invite you all to Fairfax County as soon as it is possible. We would love to show you around, and then at that time you can say, okay, it wasn't just Juhi making the comments. There really is this business ecosystem in the county. I'd love for the opportunity to do that. And with that, I wish you a very pleasant evening. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you, everyone.
Thank you.